In today's video, I'm going to show you the simplest formula there is to proof down a spirit to a target proof, or to proof up a spirit that is low. Either way, however you want to look at it, I'm going to show you the easy way right now. Let's get into it. So I made a bunch of graphics for this video to hopefully make it simple to follow me through this process, because it looks a little bit complicated when you first take a look at this method. It's called the box method. I went over it in one of the live streams, but I thought I would do a specific video on it. So just get ready. I got lots of graphics for this one. So you can probably see why this is called the box method. We just have a simple box here with letters placed around it and one within it. These are just the variables. And we're going to go over what each letter represents. A represents the highest ABV that you have. B represents the lowest ABV that you have. C represents the ABV that we are going for. We're mixing two spirits or two liquids with differing ABVs to reach a specific ABV. Now, one thing that you have to remember is A has to be greater than C, and B has to be less than C for this to work. You also have to remember that if you're going to use ABV, they all have to be ABV. You can also use proof, but they all have to be proof. You can't intermingle the two. Moving on, we've got D, and that represents how many parts of A we're going to use in our ratio. And E represents how many parts of B we're going to use in our ratio. And how we find D is we take C and we subtract B. And how we find E is we take A and we subtract C. It's really that simple. And so that kind of gives you the rundown of the process. Now I'm going to do an example. A math example to show you. Now, before I get into this example, I want to know if you like this type of video where I'm using the graphics to describe the formulas and the math and to make it simpler to walk along with me as I go through this. There's several of these kinds of formulas in home distilling, and I can go through all of them if you'd like, but let me know if you like it. Give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment, something to let me know if I need to continue to make this type of video. I appreciate it. Now let's get back to it. So in this example, the example I'm using, I'm going to say that I've got some 140 proof spirit that I want to proof down because I want to put it in a barrel. And 140 proof is too high to go into a barrel. In my opinion, 125 is nice. So I'm going to set my target ABV at 62, which is actually 124 proof. But I'm eliminating the decimal point. It would actually be 62.5 would be the ABV of 125 proof, but I don't want to mess with the decimals. And I'm going to say that we're going to mix water with this 140 proof or 70% ABV in order to try and get to 62. So let's work out the math here, and I'll show you how simple this is. So we're going to find D first, and we're going to take 62 and we're going to subtract the 0 and we get 62. So I've got that down there at the bottom. And then we're going to find E, and that is going to be 70 minus 62, which is 8. So that's down there at the bottom. And so there's our ratio. It's 62 parts of A, which is the high proof, to 8 parts of B, which is the water. And you could do it from right there. You could be done right there if you wanted. But honestly, we can simplify this ratio down a little bit more to make it easier. So let's do that. We can take a common denominator of 2 and make that 31 to 4. And 31 to 4 does not simplify down any further with whole numbers. So that's our ratio. And when you use this ratio, it's 31 parts to 4 parts. And that can be parts in liters, milliliters, ounces, pints, quarts, gallons, it doesn't matter. It will all come out the same. So we now know that we need 31 parts of the 70% ABV to 4 parts of the 0% ABV. And this would also work, like for example, the other day we did a brandy and we back sweetened it with juice. So juice has a 0% ABV, but it would also work if we used, say, a wine that had maybe a 12% ABV. As long as your low ABV is less than your target and your high ABV is greater than your target, this will work every time. And it's really simple. Now, this is the simplest method I know of. It is also not 100% accurate. So if you want exact, then my suggestion is you go online and you find a dilution calculator and you use the calculator, because the calculators will take some other things into account that will slightly affect this ratio in this mixture. So I'm not going to get into those things. We can talk about them later. If you like this video, you might also like this video about points per pounds per gallon, or this video down here is one YouTube thinks you might like. Take your pick.